Hello and welcome back to World 360. You may have seen many recent articles and headlines about one of India's immediate neighbors being on the verge of bankruptcy. That's right, the island nation of Sri Lanka is facing a deepening financial crisis characterized by high inflation, rising public debt, rising fiscal and current account deficits, and foreign exchange shortages. But how is all this pointing to bankruptcy? Sri Lanka needs to repay an estimated 7.3 billion in domestic and foreign loans in the next 12 months, including 500 million US dollars international sovereign bond repayment in January. But as of November, foreign currency reserves were just 1.6 billion US dollars. Who does it have to pay? Global agencies like the World Bank, Asian Development Bank, and Japan International Cooperation Agency, from which Sri Lanka took these large loans. The startling figures have prompted concerns from Sri Lanka's opposition leaders like Harsha De Silva and Patil Champika Ranawaka, who have warned that bankruptcy is imminent and have accused the Rajapaksa government of mismanagement. If we just look at Sri Lanka's debt to GDP ratio, it's about 104% based on the latest national income estimates and debt data. But this is not new. Sri Lanka has seen this phenomenon in 2014, 2019 and 2020. According to a report by a local media outlet, Economy Next, the debt to GDP ratio was a whopping 72% in 2014, then 86.8% in 2019 when taxes were cut and more money was printed, and then 101% in 2020. So how has this affected citizens? Due to the government printing money to pay off domestic loans and foreign bonds, inflation has seen a major uptick, which means the prices of everyday goods have gone up. Let's rewind to September 2021, when President Gotabaya Rajapaksa declared emergency regulations on essential food supply, especially for goods like paddy, rice and sugar. In that government gazette, the government accused businesses of concealing stocks of essential food items, including paddy, rice and sugar, and said the emergency measures were necessary to prevent selling them at higher prices. We at ThePrint did a story in September 2021 on how skyrocketing sugar prices were leaving customers in Sri Lanka in a fix. At the time, the retail price of 1 kg of sugar was about 200 Sri Lankan rupees, compared to around rupees 130 in October 2020. As of November 2021, inflation in Sri Lanka hit a record high of 11.1%. To put this into context, India's inflation is about 4.5%. It also hasn't helped that, according to the World Bank estimate, about 5 lakh people have fallen below the poverty line since the beginning of COVID-19 pandemic in Sri Lanka. In September, Sri Lanka's central bank governor, Velgamage Don Lakshman, also stepped down, which didn't send a good message to the public. He was replaced by Ajit Nivad Cabral, who recently told Economic Times that Sri Lanka is seeking credit lines from India. Apart from printing money, Sri Lanka has also dabbled in currency swaps to ward off its financial crisis. So is the Sri Lankan economy doomed? It's worth looking at a detailed report written by Arusha Kure, a well-known Sri Lankan economist who previously served as Sri Lanka's ambassador to Norway, Finland and Iceland. And she wrote about whether there is a way out for Sri Lanka amid this worrying economic crisis. In November, Kure wrote a piece in a Colombo daily offering 6 solutions to Sri Lanka's deepening financial crisis: fiscal consolidation, reforming monetary policy, cleaning up the banking sector, diversifying export markets to encourage FDI, putting greater focus on skill development, and sticking to consistent economic policies. In the end, Kure says that Sri Lanka needs to harness its human capital and resources, and also called on the government to introduce macroeconomic stability, else Sri Lanka will be trapped in a vicious cycle. It's also worth noting that Sri Lanka has a whopping 527 state-owned enterprises, which is not the norm globally. Many other countries, like India, have been reducing their stakes in state-owned enterprises that have been criticized as being inefficient, loss-making, and a burden on the taxpayer. Megaro Rodrigo, a researcher at Colombo think tank called Advocata Institute, has written a detailed report on Sri Lanka's 527 state-owned enterprises and the need for reform, a point Kure also mentioned in her piece. The elephant in the room is China, of course. Sri Lanka owes over $5 billion to China and recently took an additional $1 billion from Beijing to manage its acute financial crisis. This is being paid in installments. Thank you so much for watching. This is Pia Krishnankutty for ThePrint. Do subscribe to ThePrint and follow us on social media.